What's up, everybody? We're gonna have another little fun little episode here. From the title, you got to know what's coming. Holy Grails, more like holy fails. Now, let's just put our cards on the table here, right? You know me. I'm gonna give you the honest take. There's some good, there's some bad, and I hope I don't piss off any of the sponsors: Arena Club, My Slabs, and Bleaker Trading, who are bringing you this episode for free. I'll try not to piss anybody off. Let's get to them good. Right. Last night, the Holy Grails auction thrown by Fanatics in Harlem, something new for the space. I mean, we've seen live auctions before. There used to be live auctions at the National. I've seen live auctions many times. I've been on many heritage live auctions, a lot of Americana auctions. I was an underbidder on a cool lot of Boston tea from the Boston Tea Party. I don't know how they confirmed that was there, but it was cool. It was like in a little jar. I really regret not winning that. That's a cool, conversation piece. You have people over for dinner. It's like coffee? No, tea? So, I mean, I've seen live auctions before. It's crazy. It's hectic. It's different. But let's talk about some of the successes. And I am going to go through the auction, right? Because you guys deserve that. I'll condense it. I do short episodes. So I'm going to speak even faster than usual. This way we can keep this digestible, keep this, ready to go for you. And you'll kind of get some of the highs and the lows, right? But, the highs, there's going to be news about this, right? There's going to be, coverage, right? This was an event. There were caterers there. They didn't just have hot dogs. They had Wagyu hot dogs, fancy, right? And they were wearing tuxedos and, passing stuff around. And look, Tom Brady was there. You know what I mean? It was great. It was Sotheby's, right? I mean, Sotheby's been around for, the better part of 3 centuries auctioning, and to partner with, with Fanatics and do a sports card auction, it's cool, right? Because, the hope is that they bring in a wealthy clientele, different bidders, different people. It shines a light on the space. It shines a light on, on our hobby and the collectibles. And, dare I say, these items as an asset class, dirty word, right? But, there are people there, whether you think, Channing Crowder and Ryan Clark, or, legitimate stars, Meek Mill was there, right? Robert Kraft was there. We'll talk about him, a little later. Obviously, Tom Brady does a lot of stuff with Fanatics. He was there, and if you were in the crowd and you looked up, you saw Taco Fall was there. Hard to miss him, big guy, right? So the summary, and I'll go through this, overall. I'm going to go auction by auction real fast, item by item, but the summary, real positive, right? I mean, talk about a great event that will have some coverage and, trying something new, right? You got to give Fanatics credit for that. The old Tops is not the way it is. We got Tops now. We've got, these things printing instantly, and we have chases all over the place and, cool products and, not waiting for their licensing, like it, love it, hate it. They pulled Topps Chrome basketball back. They have, an NFL product, which, I'm able to buy both of those at my local hardware store and drugstore at affordable prices and open with my son. Trying new ways to deliver the items through EQL. Like I was able to get the Topps Chrome Sapphire, having things like Fanatics Fest, having things like this. You got to give them credit for trying stuff out. All right. But the auction itself, 33 items. I'm going to lump them into 3 categories. Items that were on target, like within their estimate, right? Items that were below their estimate, and items that were surprises to the upside for one reason or the other. And even those, we're going to talk about the surprises to the upside, because some of them, while they were surprises to the upside from the estimate for this auction, you'll note that prior copies of the same grade or even the same card have previously sold for more than what they sold for in last night's Holy Grails auction. So even the minimal amount of upside surprise, the 20% of items or so that were upside surprises higher than the estimate, even they are not ones that I would be, shouting about, from the rooftops. But real highline summary by my calculations from the estimates and from the sales. And, some of these fall within range. They hit the bottom of the range, the high side of the range. I tried to be as liberal with this as I could, and as favorable to the auction as I could. By my calculation, of the 33 auctions, the largest category, 14, were below estimates. Then 12 fell on target. I'm going to call them. They were within the range. They were, what they were supposed to be, and 7 were upside surprises, more than the estimate, more than the range, right? And let's talk about the first one right off the bat. And obviously, it shouldn't surprise folks, right? That that the biggest surprise or one of the biggest surprises of the night was a perfectly timed sale. Lot number 1. It was a Shohei Ohtani 2018 Topps Chrome Sapphire 1 of 1 Superfractor. Superfractors were the key to this, right? Everybody, knows what a superfractor is now. It's the Topps, main chase, you name it. And it was Ohtani. And, dude just hit 50-50. You couldn't have timed the sale for this item any better. Perfect timing. Lot number 1. It had all the spotlights. Everybody was there for it. Even the celebrities who like to, to leave early and something like this, they were there to bid, you name it. And I mean, new record, a public sale of any, of his cards, $336,000, just crushing the estimate. The estimate was like $80,000 to $120,000 on this. A huge public sale. And if nothing else, they could hold this card out as a triumph, as look what you're able to do, look how you're able to move quickly. They put this together, and look at lot number 1, which was estimated to sell for $80,000 to $120,000. It's Ohtani. We got it in there. We got the card in front of people that they wanted to have and they wanted to bid on it. And boom, it sold for, by some accounts, 4 times the low estimate on this card. I mean, you really can't complain at all about that card. It was lot number 1. It was the right one. And it did well, obviously, for the consignor. Lot number 2, also right off the bat, the second one would fall into the surprise to the upside, because it's Tom Brady, and we're going to talk about the surprises having some Tom Brady's and some LeBron bias. It seems to be kind of where they are, but this was an interesting card, right? Because it had some provenance to it. It was the 2000 Upper Deck SP Authentic Brady rookie autograph. There's 1,250 of these. This is a PSA 10, and it was at one point owned by Brady. So it had a TB12 collection designation on the PSA label. Before being signed by Brady, this same card sold for $96,000. Another copy of this card sold for $23,000 back in 2021. It sold for $192,000, because it had the added signature to it. An interesting little note on this one was in March of 2023, a similar one without the TB12 designation sold for $210,000 at Golden. So that means last year, about a year and a half ago, I think the market, is slightly better now. This one sold last night for $192,000. The same card-ish, not the exact copy, but the same card sold for $210,000 at Golden last year. So while this was a success, this was a good sale. If you wanted to call it out as a surprise, as an upside one, you could point to a prior sale from the year before being higher and not even hold this one out as a high. We're gonna take a pause now on the expectation beaters and jump into lot number 3, which was the Tim Duncan PMG Green. Cool card, right? We've seen a few of these. It's a BGS 8. This card sold for $168,000 with a $200,000 to $300,000 estimate. The last BGS 8 publicly sold for $218,000 in 2021. This one sold for $168,000. So obviously you're going to put this one in the below estimate and sort of not doing great. So it started off kind of like a house on fire with 1 and 2, 3, and now auction number 4, lot number 4 we're going to vintage baseball. It's Lou Gehrig, 1933 Gaudy in SGC 9, sold for $132,000. The last SGC 9 of this sold for $156,000 in 2021. This one came up a little bit short of expectations. Then you had lot number 5. I'm going to put this one in your on target. This is a Hank Aaron PSA 8.5. Nice card. I mean, a really pretty card. I owned an 8 of this once and sold it too early, like a lot of my cards. I sold too early. This one sold for 144,000, above the low estimate of 130. Like I said, this is, within range. From 2021 to 2023, this card has sold for anywhere between 121.5 to 206. So this 144 is right smack dab in the 12 items on this that sold for on target or within range. An interesting note that you're not going to probably see anywhere else in any other coverage on this was this is one of 2 Rally Road cards in this auction. And it's not a secret. Rally was posting about them last night, but this card IPO'd for $170,000, I think 2 years ago, at Rally Road, 170, and sold last night for $144,000. So, not the craziest thing in the world. Another little noteworthy thing that I'm going to sprinkle in here as we do this is, most of the cards sold in online bidding. Some sold in the room. And, one of the things that you wanted to look at is, was this Sotheby's Fanatics Holy Grails live auction event able to bring new money in, able to bring new bidders in? We'll talk about, the answer is a yes and a no. And, with a lot of online bidders, you're not going to know who won these items. It's known who won some of these, and we were looking for, hey, is somebody in here? I'm going to talk about a couple of those that I think the answer to that is partially yes. But the next auction, which my favorite card in the auction, another vintage card, we're going to call this On Target, right? I think it's a nice buy. It's a nice copy of the card. Lot number 6 was the 55 Topps Roberto Clemente rookie in PSA 9 that sold for $840,000. I love this card. I want to own one. I've never owned a Clemente rookie. I'd love to own a 9, $840,000. I'm putting this one in the on target within the estimates because that's where it was. It did top a recent sale of $729,000, but this card sold for $1.1 million in 2021. So the range of this card, $729,000 to $1.1 million. This one's selling for $840,000. If you look at our good friend Rob G of 52 Mantle fame, his story shows a repost of Darren Ravel saying this lot purchased by Rob G. So it looks like Rob G, who has been in the hobby now for quite some time, not new money coming in, not a new person, not new coming in, somebody who has already bought a lot of cards, owns, a bunch of cards. He's the one who, it looks like, purchased this card. So if you want a little, extra anecdotal stuff to sprinkle in on top, did this bring in new money? Was this an 840 bid from someone who otherwise was not in the space and is now thinking of cards differently? An art collector, a wine collector, somebody who was a Sotheby's, client who came in and bought this, the one of, if not, I think the highest selling item, because I don't think any of these items sold for $1 million. I think that 840 was the high. It was someone who you all have heard me mention. It's someone who, you've seen at the National. So not quote unquote new money being brought in. Lot number 7 also falls into the on target 52 Topps Mickey Mantle PSA 5, a card I know well because I sold one myself through Golden for more than what the one sold for last night in the Holy Grails. So I'm still going to call this one on target and within range, but it is on the lower end. Most recent sale of a PSA 5 was $138,000. This one sold $120,000, which just hit the low estimate for the card. So like I said, I'm being liberal. I'm being as fair as I can with this. I'm going to call that on target. The low end of the range was $120,000. It got to the $120,000. So we're going to say it met the range. It is there. It is where, it wants to be. Lot number 8, we go back to the, missed or below estimate list, which we're going to start hitting, a bunch of times over because there are 14 of those. Lot number 8 was a 2000-2001 Upper Deck Kobe Bryant Ultimate Collection, Ultimate Signatures, lot of 4. Sold for $156,000. The range on this one was $180,000 to $220,000, and it sold for $156,000. So below the range. Lot number 9, I like this card. It hit the range. This is one that I would love to own. We see Triple Logo Man. There was a chase, obviously with Drake and the LeBron Triple Logo Man. And, we saw all kinds of people chasing that card. But the Triple Logo Man's been around for a while. And last night, one from 04-05 Upper Deck. Shaq, Yao Ming, Tim Duncan, exquisite collection, triple logo man, sold for $108,000. Centers don't sell, which is, sad. I'm a big man. I like the big man. So this is a card that I, think is cool. Nice card, sold for $108,000. And high for a Shaq. It's not even close to the nearly $200,000. I think that was paid 175-ish. That was paid for the PMG green of Shaq, but still a six-figure card where Shaq is the guy on it. That's pretty good. All right, lot number 10. We're moving over into the surprises, and there'll be a few of these, right? So I'm going to put this, like I say, liberally, I'm going to put this in the surprise to the upside category, but it really depends on your narrative on this one. But there's a couple things to talk about. You guys all know this card, the LeBron 2003 Upper Deck, exquisite RPA out of 99. You've all seen it. I've owned one myself and sold it. I wish I got what the one from last night sold for, but mine was not as nice of a copy. This was a BGS 8 with a 10 autograph. It sold for $432,000. Now, this is a card that is all over the map. So depending upon how you want to, report on this, you could say this is a massive win. And I tend to agree it is, because the last 9 on this card sold for $292,000 in August, and this is a BGS 8. So from last sale, this is a bump. I mean, this is most definitely an increase, and it is a card people want. Another little fun note is Meek Mill was one of the bidders on this. He didn't win it. I think he was an underbidder on this. But, if you want to talk about like being in the room and bringing people in and, bidding on the cards and not just being the same old hobby folks bidding, this is definitely one where, if you see Meek Mill bidding on the card, it looks like he was one of the underbidders on the card. And, that's a cool little thing. If you want it to be on this card goes up and goes down and goes up and goes down, the last public BGS 810 sale, which is the same grade as this one, was 2022 in golden for $960,000. When you put it that way, the $432,000 sale doesn't sound like this monster surprise to the upside, but obviously the market has changed since then. It has come down, and it looks like if you look at the chart on a card like this, this is an increase from where the more recent sales have been. So I put it on my, thumbs up. Let's talk about this one doing better than recent sales, and a surprise to the upside. Going back to ultra modern, not doing so well, back to the below expectations category. Lot number 11, CJ Stroud, absolute kaboom, 1/1 green. Sold for $72,000, falling short of the $80,000 low estimate. It's still a huge price for a CJ Stroud card. He didn't look so great this past week. I mean, it's amazing to think that maybe just this past week's performance is what kept that below the pre-auction estimate. But I guess you never know. Lot number 12 is another Brady falling on target within the estimates. This is the 2000 playoff contenders Tom Brady rookie ticket autograph. BGS 9/5/10, right? Sold for $120,000, which we're going to call in range. The last 9/5 of this card sold for $208,000. So that's, an interesting way to look at this one, right? I mean, this is I heard that this is one that you could kind of talk about as a let's hold it out as a cool thing, because I think Tom Brady was in the room. I think Robert Kraft was sitting next to him and might have actually won this card. So that's a cool thing to hold out there. It's within the range, but keep in mind now at $120,000, the last BGS 9/5 sold for $208. And if you peel the layers back on that a little bit more, 2 before that were $312,000 and $452,000. That was back in February of 2022, so obviously a little higher, but it shows 452, 312, 208, now 120. That's within range. It's in the estimate, but obviously, if you wanted to, you could say that's a card that has a chart like this. It happens, but I'm putting that one in the on target. Continuing, the next few are in within range here. Lot 13. National Treasures 09, Kobe Bryant, Century Material Signature, Logo Man, 1/1. I'll be quicker on this one. Sold within range at $168,000. Same thing with lot number 14. This was one of the ones that was held out, as one of the potential real grails of the auction. It didn't hit as high as the Clemente 9 did, but one of the higher priced items. The Michael Jordan, Julius Erving, exquisite dual logo man autograph 1/1 sold for $780,000. An amazing piece, but it did not splash. It didn't go to that million. It didn't, it's not something that like really surprised to the upside on price. The next one that did, you're going to look at this is an interesting one, right? Because I think this is a big sale, but I think people would say it's within range. And it definitely was in range of the estimate, right? It was just below the high estimate, but still within the range. This is the 05-06 Upper Deck LeBron James Exquisite Collection 1/1 autograph patch. Cool card. We got some commentary from Spinatron showing that he was an underbidder on this one. Check his story out. Again, you got Meek Mill bidding, you got Kraft bidding, but you got Rob G and Spinatron bidding. So it's tough to say that, wow, these things brought in new money, especially when the largest tranche of sales here are the below estimates. But this card sold for $576,000, just below the high estimate of $600,000. It's a huge price for a non-rookie. Previously, the 2005 Topps LeBron Superfractor 1/1 from Finest sold for $336,000. So this is a big sale, but it is something that did fall in the estimates. One that, listen, we can say that this one fell in the estimates also. Like I said, I'm trying to be liberal and not bring everything into the below estimate category. A later PMG, playing days PMG, licensed PMG, but nobody likes these. The 08-09 Skybox LeBron PMG Green in BGS 9 sold for $26,400. This was in the 20 to 40 range, so it fell in that range. But this same card sold for $57,000 back in 2020. These cards, I owned the Jordan Red at one point in time, and just, I used to show it to people, and it does not carry the same allure anywhere close to what the 90s did. We're halfway through the auction. I'm going to rip through some of these now. I just want to kind of give you a feel for this. One of the ones that fell in the below estimates here, Juan Soto. I mean, he had a great year. Hope as a Yankee fan, he goes to, another World Series run here. He takes the Yankees and then signs he's obviously going to be a huge name in the offseason here. But his 2016 Bowman Chrome, first Bowman Prospect autograph gold refractor in BGS 1010 sold for $50,400. That same exact card, the estimates on this one were the low was $60,000. It sold for $50,000. But that same card last sold in PWCC 2022 for $180,000. So interesting, right? There are a few of these. Obviously, it's out of 10, but it looks like this one really fell below, the expectations of the auction. Another one, maybe people just don't like the Yankees. Jason Dominguez, his Bowman Prospect autograph red refractor out of 5 in a BGS 9/5/10 sold for $50,400 below the $60,000 low estimate. So that's another one that fell, below expectations. Lot number 19 is going to be one of many that, that surprised me. Some surprise to the downside, some surprise to the upside. But this is one, just like the Ohtani, this is one that if you're Fanatics, if you're the PR team, one of the 7 that surprised to the upside that you can really go out there and talk about how, this was a great result. Ellie De La Cruz, 2022 Bowman Chrome, first Bowman Prospect autograph superfractor, PSA 1010. Might have been the biggest win for Fanatics, one of the biggest surprises of the night. $360,000. The prior record for any Ellie was $116,000 for his Topps Chrome rookie autograph superfractor that sold recently at Golden. He's a huge name, obviously, in baseball. People love superfractors. That's another superfractor like the Ohtani, which was lot number 1 that sold for huge numbers. That's a big, big number. One of my favorite cards of the night. And I'm going to, again, be, liberal here and say this fell within range because it did, right? They give an estimate and that's where it sold for. Lot number 20, 48 Leaf Jackie Robinson PSA 8 sold for $312,000. Great card, cool card. The range they had was 275 to 350, big range. Obviously, 312 is in that range. It depends on the story that you want to tell on this card. Obviously, you can talk about how it's had a huge come up from, when it was 5 or 8 years ago. Sure, most cards like this have. This card was purchased by P. Ryan. It's a nice card. It really is. It's a good copy. And, some of the 8s are not as good a copy. So when you start talking about prior PSA 8 sales, some of them might have a registration issue or, a shift left to right. This was a really nice copy. But we have to note that while this one sold for $312,000, the last sale was $372,000. And 21 and 22, there were sales of this at Heritage for $444,000 and $468,000. Another fun one was that this was the second item in last night's auction that was a Rally Road. Again, not a surprise or not anything not public. They posted about it themselves. This card IPO'd 3.5 years ago for $375,000 and sold last night for $312,000. So both of those Rally Road IPOs from years ago sold last night for less than what they IPO'd on Rally for. This is a real nice card. We're putting it within estimates in the range. I like the card. One that didn't, lot 21, 48 Bowman George Mikan PSA 8 was the only card that last night did not hit its reserve. So obviously a surprise to the downside there. Lot number 22, I'm putting this one in the surprises to the upside because by a few $1,000s, it exceeded the high estimate. This is the Topps test issue for Elgin Baylor 68. Sold for $42,000 above the high estimate of $40,000. Very rare card. So we're putting that one in the surprise to the upside. On target, only a couple more of those. Lot number 23, Tip Top Bread Mickey Mantle sold for $72,000. The low estimate was $60,000. This was, right in range. This is an oddball Mickey Mantle 52 Tip Top Bread card. Also, lot number 24, National Treasures Steph Curry RPA Gold out of 25 sold for $192,000 in the range. Within the range, 100%. On the downside, a couple more on the downside, towards the back end of this auction, most of those later ones are going to fall in this category. This is a soccer entry. Kylian Mbappe, lot number 25, the Panini World Cup Gold Prism out of 10. These cards are rare. And as far as golds out of 10, there's only 14 World Cup, 18 World Cup, and 2022 World Cup. So for World Cup cards, Mbappe doesn't even have 14 because his rookie was 17. So this isn't the rookie for him because, he has cards in 2017. But this was his first World Cup Gold. Big card, sold well below estimates. This card sold for $66,000. The same card sold in 2021 for $161,000 at Golden. And again, at PWCC last year for $120,000. Sold last night for $66,000. Mbappe is not, as big of a name. I mean, had a great World Cup in 2018. He's doing great things, but, younger stars like Haaland have come on the scene, and obviously people are always chasing Messi. So Mbappe's kind of fallen off. So this result, not the greatest result. Another one that really fell short of expectations, Alex Morgan, Upper Deck RPA, another soccer card. Sold for $13,200 with an estimate of between $30,000 and $40,000. I'm going to lump in, because we're almost done here, guys, I promise, 4 Pokemon cards, 4 Pokemon auctions, 27, 29, 30, and 33. 4 late Pokemons. Now, to say that items that sold for $360,000, $180,000, $204,000, $156,000 fell short of expectations. I mean, do some quick math on that, right? I mean, you're talking about $500,000 for $800,000, $900,000 worth of Pokemon cards that sold in 4 auctions. But every single one of them sold below the estimate. The Pikachu Illustrator sold for $360,000 with an low estimate of $550,000. The Charizard CGC Pristine 10 sold for $180,000 with estimates of $450,000 to $550,000. The Pikachu Prototype from 1995 sold for $204,000 with estimates of $300,000 to $500,000. And the Square Test Set of 15 sold for $156,000 with estimates of $300,000 to $500,000. Interesting here. It just looks like this was not a room for Pokemon, and even the online stuff was not strong. Some of these are oddball type of items, test sets, CGC Charizard, as opposed to the PSA ones that usually sell for a little bit more. So all 4 of those Pokemon items fell below expectations. Lot number 28, a LeBron item that exceeded expectations, is the scripted swatches game used from his rookie year. Exquisite, sold for $50,400, above the 25 to 40 estimate. So that was a nice one. I'm going to skip those Pokemons. 31 and 32 are 2 Tom Brady auctions that sold. These are the last ones. They sold for, they're the tale of 2 cities here, okay? 31 was a disappointment. An interesting card, 2006 Brady Hollow Silver 1 of 1. It's $21,600 with an estimate of $30,000 to $50,000. Very pretty card, but it just didn't, it wasn't the shield. It wasn't anything crazy. Whereas lot number 32 was a shield card. A real good result. Another one of the 7 surprise to the upside cards. 2015 Immaculate Collection Tom Brady Premium Patches Game Used NFL Shield Patch Auto. That's a lot. I had to take a breath there. A 1 of 1 with a 10 auto, sold for $480,000. So if that hollow silver 1 of 1 from the lot before underwhelmed, this one surely was a huge sale. There were record sales for Brady, but you guys know them, the rookie cards, the Bowman Chrome Refractors in PSA 10, the Playoff Contenders Championship rookie ticket autos in high grades. This is a big sale for Brady. And if you notice, of the 7 that surprise to the upside, we had 2 Bradys and 2 LeBrons. So, 4 of the 7 are Brady and LeBron. Brady was in the room. LeBron, most of his cards did well in this auction. That's all 33. I did that as fast as I could. I apologize. I know I like to keep these to 20 minutes. That was 31. Again, the summary on this. If you just go by the numbers, it's not Holy Grails, it's Holy Fails, because the largest tranche of cards sold for below expectations. And if you want to, talk about how many of the 33 items sold for above, it's basically 20%. 7 of them sold for, above expectations, surprising to the upside. And I threw in an Elgin Bale and that surprised by $2,000 just to get to that 7. So, but it counts. I like it. Right, I'm sorry to fanatics for the title that's going to grab attention, Holy Grails, more like Holy Fails, because ultimately it's not a fail, right? Some of the consigners on those 14 items that were below the estimates, they might not be happy, they may call it a fail, but overall, for looking at this bigger picture, from the space, this was a good event. They're trying something different. I would imagine they'll probably do more of these. I don't know, because a lot of these items were sold online. I don't know whether or not anybody, caught a wind of this on Instagram or on Facebook or on Twitter, saw the press and the publicity about Holy Grails, Sotheby's. I don't know whether Sotheby's reached out to any of their buyers of other types of assets, and maybe 1 or 2 of these surprise cards, maybe the Ohtani, maybe the Ellie, maybe that Tom Brady, game used shield autograph. Maybe those were purchased by somebody online who otherwise was not in the market before this auction. I don't know the answer to that. Maybe we will find that out. But just the possibility of it makes this something that, Fanatics is doing a good thing for the space. It's stuff to talk about. I definitely had a couple of friends of mine who don't collect cards, but know that I do, send me pictures of this, links to this yesterday during the day, saying, hey, are you going to this? Are you watching this? Are you bidding on anything? And so people were made aware of it. There definitely was some press and some publicity around it. All in all, the event has to be looked at as a success, even though, I think it lacked that, that major win. You know what I mean? Like, this had some press, some PR around it, but, there was not a single card that sold for 7 figures in the entire auction. And I think, maybe some folks thought that there might be, that Clemente had a chance to be, that, that Jordan, Dr. J had a chance to be. And who knows, maybe in the next auction, there will be a card that hits 7 figures. It's cool to see Sotheby's in the space. It was cool to see the auction. It was cool to watch it. I watched the, whole thing. And, yeah, so there's my take on it, my wrap. I apologize again for making it a little bit long. Guys, if you're listening to this, you know who sponsors me. Check out Bleecker Trading. They got events coming up this week. Go check them out on Instagram. My Slabs has auctions every Friday night. There's one this Friday as well. And Arena Club. Check out the slab packs. You can use, code CAGE. Check out my page on Instagram. If you have never bought one, you get a discount code. And that's it. Let me know what you guys thought about this. I don't really do auction recaps, but this was a different story. And, I did some research, guys. I mean, there's a lot goes into this. I don't know if you care, but, those for folks, for the 1,000 of you or so that in the first 24 hours only get this via audio, those were my sheets of paper with my notes on them shaking. Normally, I don't have notes. I just come in here and do this on the fly. But, summary. Don't let the title fool you. I called it Holy Grails, more like Holy Fails, talking about the Sotheby's Fanatics auction. But for the space, for the hobby, even though some of the prices might not have been what the consigners wanted, I think it's a good thing. I don't think you can call it a fail. I like that they're trying something new. Some of the cards really surprised to the upside. And, I hope that this is not a one and done type of thing. I'd like to be at the next one. Talk to you guys soon. Let me know what you think about this. And let me know what you thought of the auction. Take care, everybody.